So it is Thursday night. I had work and then class today, and I decided to... That's my dad, if you guys don't know already. But I decided to drive back to St. Augustine so I can start taking apart the car to see all of the damage that I did to it. And it's awesome because my dad volunteered to help me. And it's funny because he looks like Inspector Gadget right now.
Keeps me clean.
Yeah, you'll be clean and you'll be fine. So you better be ready to get dirty. This was my Christmas gift to my dad. This is his dream car. You like your gift?
I'm not worthy.
You'll get one eventually. We'll get you one.
I already got one right here.
Yeah, right. And it's awesome because as soon as I got home, my dad had already moved my mom's car out of the garage and positioned the FRS to where we have basically all of the space in the garage to work on. Every time I see it, I still can't believe that it happened. And like I said in my last video, I really appreciate all of the support that you guys are giving me. I've even gotten a couple people that have said that I should start a GoFundMe. That's something that's not going to happen. I appreciate the fact that you guys have thought of that. If you're gonna donate money, donate it to a good cause, not for my drift habits. But anyways, tonight my dad and I, we're just going to put the car all up on jack stands and I guess start inspecting all of the damage. One thing that I want to point out, I think it is crazy how the rear bumper pretty much escaped from getting cracked or damaged any more than it already was. This is my original wall tap mark, and this is my wall smash mark. I guess when I spun and went reverse into the wall, this just barely rubbed that concrete barrier. And just barely enough to take off the paint, but not crack the bumper itself, which to me is just crazy. And like I said before, I am very, very lucky with how I hit the wall. And this damage to just the paint on the bumper proves that. I'm pretty sure that the fenders up front are toast. We had to loosen up the fender up front here, so we took out the bolts that hold it down, just so we would be able to close the hood. And I've been getting a lot of comments from you guys saying that I should just go Rocket Bunny. So here's my issue with that. I really like the way that the stock body on the FRS looks, but at the same time, I don't really know how we're going to deal with issues such as this buckled fender. Going with Rocket Bunny would seemingly fix that because it would just basically cut up and around that spot where it's damaged. And then having the Rocket Bunny fenders up front might allow me to salvage this fender, given that I can manage to bend the fender bracket enough to where the hood will close. Especially on this side, you can see where it's buckled in. The Rocket Bunny fender basically will cut this whole section off, leaving the top of the fender, which, you know, is in good condition, just fine. What's wrong, Wally? Don't be making those noises. Don't worry, guys. He's okay. He does that all the time. Actually, before we put it on jack stands, I'm pretty sure I have a bunch of the parts in the back of the FRS that I need to take out. I just threw a lot of the small pieces in my toolbox right when we were about to leave. So, oh yeah, look at that. This is the part that connects into the frame, and luckily it looks like the bolt took the majority of the damage. Oh yeah, here's the camber plate for the front coil over, and you can see how it is ever so slightly bent. Probably gonna need a replacement one of those. Spring perch. Tie rod end that is already bent. Good thing I have a spare one of these from PBM. So I believe that covers all of the parts. The difficult part is going to be finding all of these replacement bolts and sending pictures to PBM and telling them like, okay, well, I'm gonna need this bolt replaced because you can obviously see that that is bent. That's just something I'm gonna have to tackle while I'm here. I know my dad has always thought it's kind of weird that I drift such a new car. What do you think about me wrecking it?
I told you so.
Yeah.
It's part of the sport.
Yeah.
You don't drift without wrecking, and that's just what happens.
Yeah. I really have to give a big shout out to my dad for being so supportive of my drifting habits.
You guys out there, don't drift if you can't take the consequences, because this is gonna happen.
You heard it from my dad, and my dad is usually right, so take his advice. Anyways, I believe that Mr. Inspector and I are ready to take apart the car. So what I'm thinking is that this upper control arm piece here might possibly be bent. I'm not 110% sure, and I don't know how I'm gonna figure out if it's bent, but it should be getting replaced either way because I'm gonna be getting the PBM knuckle and rear upper control arm so I can get my hydro installed. I can show you guys what we had to do in order to get the car drivable. Since the stock lower control arm doesn't have a place to mount the sway bar, and this is the sway bar end link that PBM provides for their angle kit, Steven came up with a good idea just to zip tie it to the lower control arm, just so this doesn't rub on the ground and damage it. Here's something interesting I can show you guys. Do you see how the hub assembly is straight on each side, but the wheel in the car is like turned upside down? Reason for that being is that we had to use one of my replacement tie rods for the PBM angle kit matched with the stock inner tie rod on the passenger side, which might make a couple of you guys think, how are we able to match up those tie rod ends at different lengths? That explains exactly why the steering wheel is cocked sideways. Thanks to my good friend Andrew Huffman for coming up with that idea. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't have been able to drive the car home. And you can see that the rack is pushed out on the passenger side while it is what's sucked in with the PBM tie rod on this side. That was definitely good thinking on Andrew's part. Already got the caliper and the rotor off on this side. Like, we are breezing through taking off the parts that we put on when we damaged it. There we go. You the man. So you gotta use a 19mm to take off the bolts that attach the knuckle to the coil over. My dad's watching my latest video.
You're insane.
There we go. I've not eaten a single thing today, especially being busy with work and then school. Time for a slice of pizza with my good old-fashioned seasoning. Okay. Yep, that's that seasoning. So my dad has work tomorrow, so he's done working on the car tonight. I have schoolwork that I could probably be doing, so I'm gonna spend the rest of the night doing that. So I will see you guys bright and early. All right. I am ready to finish taking apart this car. All that's basically left is I gotta remove the coil over, lower control arm, tie rod ends, basically on both sides. Now that both sides of the front suspension have been removed, I guess I can just take off the fender. You can see just how much the fender bent out. And we can basically attribute the damage to the fender because of the lobster fitment. You gotta love the lobster fitment, but if you ever plan on jumping your car, you can expect it to do some damage to your fender once the suspension bottoms out. Good thing I got my dogs to keep me company. Thank you, buddies. Oh, Woody. So now I'm just gonna take off the fender. So if any of you guys are curious, you gotta remove these three 10mm bolts up here. Well, actually 4 because there's one hidden behind this cowling right here. 2 other 10mm bolts down here, a variety of these clips, all in the fender. And then you're gonna wanna push out the front bumper. And there's gonna be 2 10mm screws up in here. It's actually quite simple. I missed one screw. You can see it's kind of tucked behind the door right here. Right there. There we go. Well, I pretty much have the car now pulled apart. I was going to take the front bumper off, but I really don't think I need to. Although it isn't really wanting to go into its clips right beneath the headlight, It'll just take a little bit of persuasion to get it to clip back in. Before we take a look at the frame and strut towers and all that, I just wanted to show you all of the parts that I was able to save. Basically, the whole passenger side of the car is fine, which means that the lower control arm's good, the whole tie rod assembly with the offset spacer's good, coilover's good, hub assembly's fine, as well as the hub assembly for the driver's side. Other things that didn't necessarily make it include the coilover, tie rod, lower control arm bolt, the offset spacer. It's supposed to have 2 tabs on the end that keep it from rotating in the rack. The bolt that I actually just replaced a couple videos ago, that is slightly bent. The spring, that's bent. And then the 2 bolts that go through the control arms into the knuckles themselves. And of course, the fenders. These brackets are salvageable. Those should be perfectly fine. I'll just transfer those over to the new fenders whenever I get those. And as far as damage on the car is concerned, there is a bracket up here that is slightly bent inwards, and you can see it right there. Because all I have to do is just bend it back out. But the main point of concern for me was whether or not the strut tower was bent at all, or damaged in any way. And just from visual inspection, I mean, it looks perfectly fine. There is some scarring from, I guess, the coilover when it broke. Overall, you know, all of the seams are intact, and it doesn't look like anything is bent. Also, the front subframe would be another point that would need to be addressed. And just from looking at it, I mean, it looks completely fine. I would imagine, since this was the bolt that sits in the frame right here, I would imagine that this took the majority of the impact. I am pretty sure that the front subframe is okay. I think the front end of the car got off quite well considering how bad the accident looked. Now, I haven't taken apart the rear just yet because I don't think I'm going to need to. The adjustment in the toe arm should factor out any bend. Of course, I can't really tell if this upper control arm is bent in any way. Well, actually, I think I just found what appears to be bent. Where the bolt for the coilover threads through, right up here, it seems to be a slight dip. So if that's the case, and it doesn't really look like it's cracked at all, then I should be able to have my alignment guy factor out some toe so this bend doesn't affect the way that the hub is oriented. Other than that, I'm pretty sure that covers all of the damage that was done. I know what I need to replace now. I'm hoping it's not going to cost too much. And I'm actually going to be contacting PBM this afternoon so I can order all of the parts. So here's the plan. I'm going to order all of the replacement parts today, which is Friday. Go back to Orlando, of course, because I have work and school next week. And then next Thursday night, come back, piece everything back together, and hopefully the car will be drivable. Let's just hope that we can stick to this plan. And of course, I'll let you guys know exactly how much I spend to replace all of the broken parts. And I am telling you, when I hit that wall, I totally thought that I completely mangled up the car. And now knowing how limited the damage was makes me so happy. Of course, I'm not happy about the whole situation, but it could have been a lot worse. As always, I hope you all have an awesome day, and Nacho and I will see you next time. Isn't that right, Nacho? See you later, guys. Peace.